welcome back to part 8 of sexual reproduction in flowering plant. In my previous video were trying to understand about abiotic agents, that is wind pollinated flowers characteristics we were trying to understand. So these wind pollinated plant should have large number of pollen grains. Pollen grains are light and non-sticky. They often possess well-exposed stamens for easy dispersion of pollen into wind current, large feathery stigma to trap airborne pollen grains. So in the theory exam, they will ask you 3 marks. Write down the characteristics of wind pollinated flowers or wind pollinated plant. What are the characteristics? So you are supposed to write the flower should produce large amount of pollen. The pollen, whatever the plant is going to produce, the flower is going to produce, it should be in a large quantity because it has to be carried out with the current of wind current. It has to carry out. So the production of the pollen by the flower should be in a large amount, and pollen grain should be light and non-sticky. It should be light in weight so that it can be carried out through the wave of a air or a current of a wind, and it should not be sticky. If they get stick to some object, it is very tough to carry them through the air. Then they often possess well exposed stamens. The stamens should be well exposed because the dispersion has to be occur through the wind. So if it is well exposed stamen, dispersion will be very easily. And the stigma, now coming to the stigma, when we spoke about the male reproductive structure, these are the characteristics of the male reproductive structure of that is pollen grain. So coming to the stigma, that is a female reproductive structure, these should also have certain characters so that the pollination can easily occur through wind. So the first character for the stigma or the female reproductive structure is large. The stigma should be large in size. It should be feathery so that it can trap airborne pollen grains. So now coming to the water, second abiotic abiotic agent which is going to carry out the pollination. So I hope you people have understand what are the characteristics of wind pollinated flowers. So now let me proceed to the next abiotic agent, that is water. So pollination by water is called hydrophily. So the pollination which is going to carry out through the water is called hydrophily. It is quite rare. It is very less in the nature. It is limited to about 30 genera, mostly monocotyledons. So monocotyledons are going to possess the water pollination. The pollination is going to carry out through the water in majority of the monocotyledons. Example, Vallisneria, Hydrilla, Zostera. So please do remember, Hydrilla is freshwater plant and Zostera is a marine sea grasses. So you are supposed to say what kind of pollination and how they are adapted. The plants, how they are adapted to carry out the water pollination. So but in lower plants, water is regularly mode of transport for the male gamete. As you all know that the lower plants like algae and all, water plays a medium for carrying out of gametes. Distribution of some bryophytes and pteridophytes is limited because they need water for the transport of male gamete and fertilization. As I said you, the lower plants like algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes, their male gamete has to be moved, so water plays an important role to carry out all those things. So now coming to the main Vallisneria, let me see how Vallisneria is performing pollination through the water. In Vallisneria, the female flower reaches the surface of the water by a long stalk. So the female flower is going to come out of the water forming a long stalk. That long stalk will be under the water and the flower will comes out on the surface of the water. So the male flower or the pollen grain are released on the surface of water. They are carried by the water current and reaches the female flower. As the female flower is floating on the surface of the water by a long stalk which is lying under the water, and there will be a pollen grain which are suspended or which are present on the surface of the water, it can be passed through the water current and it can reaches the female flower. In this way, Vallisneria can perform pollination by water. Coming to the seagrass, female flower remain submerged in water. The female flower will not come out as in case of Vallisneria. As in case of Vallisneria, female flower was coming out of the water surface with a long stalk, containing a long stalk, and it comes out of the water. But in case of seagrasses, it's not like that. In the seagrasses, the female flower remains submerged. It will be in the water itself. Pollen grains are long and ribbon-like. They will produce a structure which are long and ribbon-like structure. These ribbon-like structure carried inside the water and reaches the stigma. As the water carries the stigma, as the water carries the pollen grains, as you all know that the sea grasses are submerged, the female flower are submerged in the water, so the male part has to be inserted inside the water. It has to go inside the water, so it produces a ribbon like structure, long ribbon like structure. Through that, pollen grains will reaches to the stigma which is submerged in the water in case of seagrasses. Please do remember what are the procedure, how the pollination is going to carried out in Vallisneria, seagrasses and Zostera. It's very important for the point of theory, and the examples are very important for the point of competitive. Now, the pollen grain of most of the water pollinated species have mucilaginous covering to protect from wetting. Everybody know that if anything which is going to come in contact with water, it get wet. So the whatever pollen grains are being produced in the water pollinated flowers, the pollen grains will be having a mucilaginous covering so that they can protect themselves from the water. The pollen grains should not get wet, or it should not get flew away, or it should not get dragged away with the current of the water. It should be there only till it reaches to the stigma. So it has got a covering, that is mucilaginous covering, to get protected from wetting. Not all aquatic plants are hydrophytes. In most of aquatic plant, like water hyacinth or water lily, etc., the flower emerge above the level of the water for entomophily or anemophily. So this is there are certain examples of the plant who are growing in the aquatic region. They are growing in the water medium, but the pollination will not carried out through the water. It is going to carried out through the insects. Okay. Entomophily and anemophily, it is going to carried out through the wind and through the insects. Wind and water pollinated flowers are not very colorful and not produce nectar. Now coming to the second agent, that is biotic agent. The pollination through biotic agent. First one, animals. Used by majority of the flowering plants. So pollination by the animals are carried out in the majority of the flowering plant. Examples of the agents of biotic agents of pollination are bees, butterflies, flies, beetles, wasps, ants, moth, birds, sunbird or hummingbird, bats, primates, arboreal animals, rodents, reptiles, example gecko, lizard and garden lizard, etc. So these are the agents who are going to carry out the pollination. So pollination by insect is known as entomophily. Pollination by insect, if the pollination is going to carry out by the insects, it is known as entomophily. Particularly bees is more common. So bees are going to perform the pollination. So such pollination by the insect, it may be butterflies, bees or a certain kind of other flies, is known as entomophily. Often flowers of the animal pollinated plants are specially adapted for particular species of animals. So now the features of insect pollinated flowers. As you have seen, the characteristics of wind pollinated and water pollinated. In the same way, you should know what are the characteristics of insect pollinated flowers. So the flowers are large in size, they are very colorful, they are very fragrant, they are having a very good smell, aroma, and rich in nectar. Nectar and pollen grain are the floral reward of pollination. To carry out insect pollination, to carry out the pollination by the insect, so the nectar and the pollen grain are the best reward from our floral part. So that is the best in the sense, what does it mean, nectar and pollen grain? Because it produces nectar, which is a source of a food for the flies, butterflies and all. They will get attracted, they want to come and suck the nectar present in the flowering plant. And the pollen grains also will be much in the insect pollinated flowers. Small flowers from inflorescence to make them visible. So the small flowers will come in the form of cluster. On the part of the plant, they will come in the form of groups, bunches, cluster of the flower they are going to make, so that it will be visible for the insect and they can carry out the process of pollination. The flower pollinated by the flies and beetles secrete foul odor to attract these animals. The pollination which is going to carried out by certain flies and beetles, now they are going to secrete some kind of foul odor, the odor which we doesn't like, but it is attraction for those flies. The pollen grains are generally sticky. The pollen grains of the insect pollinated are sticky because it has to get stick to their feathers, it has to get stick to their body, so that they can carry from one plant to another plant. It should get stick. If it is non-sticky, they will fly away. So it should be sticky. Next character was sticky. Fine. When the animal come in contact with the anther and the stigma, its body get pollen grains. When it come in contact with the stigma, it results in pollination. So the flies, when they come for the, they get attracted with the beautiful colors or beautiful colored petals of the flower, and the flower contain the large amount of pollen grains and the nectar. They get attracted and they come and sit on the petals for the purpose of getting the nectar. During that, they may take the pollen grain and it may get attached due to the sticky nature of the pollen grain. As they fly away and go to the another part, and when they set the stigma, take out the pollen grain, or the pollen grain will fall on the stigma and the pollination will occur. Some plants provide a safe place as a floral reward to lay eggs. See this, this is the most peculiar character which I am going to explain you here. It has come many times in the CET and the competitive exam. There is a plant which is going to provide a safe place to lay the eggs. Example, Amorphophilus. It is a tallest flower. General knowledge question. It is a tallest flower, round about 6 feet in height. The example is Amorphophilus. A moth species, species of a moth and the plant Yucca cannot complete their life cycle without each other. See the symbiotic nature you are going to see here. Symbiotic relationship you can see it here. The plant Yucca is allowing the moth species to lay the egg inside the ovary. The moth deposits its egg inside the locule of the ovary. The flower gets pollinated by the moth. The larvae come out of the egg as seeds start developing. See the beautification of the nature. How nature is providing a place to lay the eggs for one species. Simultaneously, the flower is getting pollinated. In the sense, both are beneficially getting, they both are getting mutual benefited from each other. Beautiful process in the nature you can see in a flower called Amorphophilus. Amorphophilus is the tallest flower and a moth of a species, and the plant called Yucca is going to show you a very good symbiotic nature. Amorphophilus is the tallest flower. Fine. Yucca and the moth are going to show you different kind of interaction between each other. Many insects consume pollen or nectar without bringing out pollination. They are called pollen robbers or nectar robbers. There are some insects who will come, they'll sit on the plant, they take out the nectar from them, but they are not going to carry out any pollination. They are not going to bring any pollen grains, neither they are going to deposit it on the stigma. Such insects are termed as nectar robber or pollen robber. One more question. What is nectar robber or pollen robber? Many insects consume pollen or nectar without bringing pollination. The insects consume the nectar without bringing pollination are termed as pollen robber or pollen nectar robbers. So here the pollinating agents and pollination wind up. Now next class will be studying inbreeding devices. Thank you very much. We'll continue our next session in the next part.